Hello everyone, and welcome to another Pathfinder adventure card game scenario. We are over at the Glass Pavilion with the character Drelm, and this is scenario 5.1, the start of level 5. What's new about this whole level is that in the Blessings deck is a random Curse of Fevered Dreams. So that's pretty much only changed to this level. Let's go ahead and get started. Advancing the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of the Lady of Graves. And now we're at the Glass Pavilion. We're at this location. At the start of your turn, examine the top card of your location deck. Alright, so that is what we will do. Alright, and we examine, and it has a trigger effect. So we have a Human Oracle Cultist here. It says here, when you examine this card, you are dealt 1d4 poison damage. If this damage is not reduced to 0, suffer the Scourge, Curse of the Sphinx, then shuffle this henchman into a random open location. Well, fortunately, we have this loot in our hand, which is that we can recharge this card to ignore a non-villain Bane's power that happens before you act. So that is exactly what we're going to do, so we don't have to deal with that. But we still have to do a Combat 24 check. The only thing in our hand to help out is going to be either the Natron Fang or we have the Fire Kukuri. And I think actually the Fire Kukuri is going to be the better choice because the Natron Fang is only good against undead, whereas this is going to allow us to roll our melee skill, which is d10 plus 1d4 plus 2d4. Okay, so we're going to use the Fire Kukuri. We're discarding it. We're actually going to recharge it. So we recharge that spell. So what we're going to do is we roll a d10, which is our melee, and the 1d4 for the fire. I'm just going to call it the fire dagger. That's what they should have called it. And then I'm going to roll the additional d4, and total buffs to this roll are going to be plus 5. So we will go ahead and roll. So adding 5 to this roll, we need to get a 24. Okay, that's it's doable. Let's see if it happens. Alright, so we rolled a 1. We rolled a 3, a 2, and another 1. Well, fortunately in our hand, we have the Blessing of Kepri. So we will definitely discard this card to count every 1 rolled as a 6. Okay, so we have a 1 here. So we'll go ahead and throw that out and put a 6 there. We have a 1 there. We'll turn that into a 6. So was that enough? 6 and 6 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and our buffs were plus 5, so 22. Well, unfortunately, we failed by 2. So it was close. I mean, pretty amazing. And, shucks. Man, let's double check that. Our total buffs were plus 1 and 4, so had 5 buffs. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, only 22. So how about that? We failed, lost by 2. So then what happens is that we have to take 2 points of damage. Unfortunately, we'll have to lose our Remove Curse and our Natron Fang. So they get discarded. Look at the Natron Fang. No, nothing helping. Okay, so unfortunately we then have to go ahead and so it says here, so with curses, if we take any like cold or poison damage that's not reduced, we'd have to take a curse. Well, this isn't cold or poison damage, so at least we don't have to get any curses. But we do have to shuffle this villain back into the location deck. And what's really going to suck is that we don't have that the armor now to help us out. Wow. Okay, randomly determining which card is on top of the location deck. It's the 8th card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, and now we will reset Drelm's hand. Let's see what he gets. Okay, we're going to go ahead and advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of the Ancients. Let's see, it says here at the start of your turn, examine the top card of your location deck. So I guess we have to do that before we can use cards in our hand. So we will examine this card. Okay, we examine it. put it back. What Drelm's going to do is he's going to use the Sands of Time. He'll just cast that, so he can add a die to characters or to checks against undead and construct traits or construct traits. Okay, so now we will explore. We get this card, the Anubis Staff. It's an Arcane Divine 6. So what's cool is that it's an auto acquire. It says for your combat check, reveal this card and discard a spell. To use your Divine skill plus 1d6. This counts as plant spell. If the Bane has a construct or undead trait, add another 1d6. Bury this card to evade a monster you encounter that has the undead trait. Alright, well, it's nifty. We acquire it, we get it. We don't necessarily want it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use Commander Abdallah. We are going to discard this card to explore your location. During this exploration, add 1d8 to your combat checks. Alright, we're going to do it. Let's see what we get. Da-da. Alright, we get a Dune of Doom. Oh, this could be very useful. So it says Intelligence, Arcane, Wisdom, Divine. So we will go ahead and try to acquire this boon. Divine 13. Drelm's Divine is D8 plus 6. Okay. So, and we don't have any other buffs, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and roll. Well, we rolled an 8 plus a 6 is 14. We acquire this spell. So that is amazing. Check that out. Combat check. Discard this card to use your Arcane or Divine skill plus 3d10. Okay. Well, life is all of a sudden looking so much better. Alright, we are going to reset Drelm's hand at this time. We will reset the hand. Now we will advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of Wajet. We have to examine the top card. Let's see what we get. Okay, we get this guy. He does have a trigger. When you examine this card and counter it, the difficulty is increased by +3. So we'll go ahead. We have to do 2 combat 12 checks. We have a Great Club. We also have an Embalming Fluid. But the Great Club is Strength and Melee plus 1d10 plus 1. We'll just go ahead and stick with that. So it's going to be 2d10, and we're adding a total of +3 to this roll. So the first one is roll 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow, how about that? So we actually fail that first check. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, because we needed a 12. We had a melee of +4, and the Great Club gave us +1. So we had +5 to this roll. But we rolled a 6, so an 11. So we fail the first check by 1, and we still have to go forward with the second check. So we make the second check. But the henchman is undefeated. We have to take a point of damage. We'll go ahead and lose a Death Grip spell as damage. And the Bone Crusher Hyena gets shuffled back into the location deck. Wow. So that was unusual. There's 8 cards now left in the location deck. Rolling a d8, seeing which card's on top. It's the second card. Alright. So Drelm is going to reset his hand. We will advance the Blessings deck. And it's the Curse of Fever Dreams. Wow. So it says, while displayed, after you reset your hand, recharge your hand. Then draw 1d4 plus 1 cards. Okay, that's really going to be a problem because we have the Dune of Doom spell in our hand, which we want to use. But we still have to examine the card. So it's a Blessing of the Ancients, and now we have to encounter it, or explore. So this is an auto acquire. We're going to go ahead and we are going to discard it so we can examine the top card of your location deck. Then you may explore your location. But we don't want to examine. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Blessing of Abdar. Discard this card to explore your location. That's what we want to do. We want to explore. Okay, we explore. We meet this. It's Trap Poison Elite. So since it's Elite and this is level 5, we'll banish this card for the rest of the campaign. It's a disable 7 check. Well, Drelm's disable is D8 plus 5. So as long as we don't roll a 1, we're all set. But since it has a trap trait, actually this is an auto. defeat, because anything with the trap trait, Drelm can add his divine skill. So that is gone. We've banished that. We really don't want to deal with the Curse of Fevered Dreams. We would really like to explore one more time. So we're going to do it. We're going to have to use the Blessing of the Ancients. We're going to examine this card. Okay, well, we examined it, and it's got the trigger. So when you examine this card, you are dealt 1d4 poison damage. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. As long as we don't roll a 4. Alright, so we rolled a 3. Well, we're going to lose 3 cards, but we still have the Dune of Doom spell in our hand. It says here, if this damage is not reduced to 0, suffer the scorch Curse of the Phoenix. Okay, so not only do we have the Curse of Fevered Dreams, but we now have a Curse of the Phoenix. So we have to deal with this, but we will talk about that some more after the encounter. Okay, so we did that. When you examine this card, you are dealt 1d4 poison damage. If this damage is not reduced to 0, suffer the scourge, Curse of the Phoenix, then shuffle. Oh, so how about that? We can't even encounter this card when we fail that check. Wow. So even having the Dune of Doom wasn't any of any benefit. So yeah, examining her, not a good idea. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's only 6 cards left in this location deck. Rolling the d6, we get a 1, so a top card. So we definitely do not. So what we're doing now is we have to deal with the Curse of Fevered Dreams and Curse of the Sphinx. Curse of the Sphinx is while displayed. Before you explore, examine the top card of your location deck. If it is a boon, recharge your hand, then reset your hand, then discard a card. Okay, so we got to deal with Curse of the Sphinx and Curse of Fevered Dreams. So what we're doing now, we're dealing with the Curse of Fevered Dreams. So we have to reset our hand. And then, thanks to Curse of Fevered Dreams, we have to recharge our hand. And we only get 1d4 plus 1 cards. So we get 4 cards, fortunately. So we get a Blessing of Pharasma, Advocate's Armor, Stained Glass Elemental, Bird Feather Tokens. Alright, could be worse. We're over at the Glass Pavilion. We're going to examine our card. Okay, we examine this card. And now, we have to deal with the Curse of Fevered Dreams. So it says, while displayed before you explore, examine the top card of your location deck. Sure, we'll do it again. If it's a boon, we have to recharge your hand, then reset your hand, then discard a card. Okay, I mean, that's technically not too bad, because we got the Curse of Fevered Dreams, but at least with the Curse of the Sphinx, we're always guaranteed 4 cards. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So we've done all that. Now we can explore. We can get the Acid Splash spell, Intelligence Arcane. It's interesting. It's only for wizards. So, Drelm. Okay, we do acquire this card. We do have a Blessing of Nethys, but we're not using that, obviously. So what we're going to do is we'll have to deal with the Curse of Fevered Dreams now. So we're going to recharge our hand. And what we're going to do after we recharge our hand is that we are going to randomly, okay, so we get, we rolled a d4 for Curse of Fevered Dreams. So we get a hand size of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we will advance the Blessings deck. We're at the Glass Pavilion, so we have to examine this card. Okay, we examine it. It's got a trigger, so we have to encounter it. It says here, when you examine this card, you are dealt 1d4 poison damage. If this damage is not reduced to 0, so, okay, so we're dealt the poison damage. Fortunately, no, shucks. Okay, well, oh, can we? Yes, there is hope, and I will show you. Roll on the 1d4. We rolled a 2. Fortunately, we have a Mystic Silk Cloak in our hand. Yes, we do. Recharge this card to reduce poison damage dealt to you by 3. Boom. Okay, so we reduced the damage. Now, what we can do is we can now attempt to defeat this villain. And we got the Dune of Doom spell. Oh yeah, looking good. Divine skill plus d10 plus 3d10 thanks to Dune of Doom. So we're rolling 4d10 and we get to roll our divine buff, which is plus 6. Alright, 4d10 plus 6, and we're using a blessing of Pharasma, which means, so our divine skill is only a d8, but we get to roll 3d10, and with the blessing of Pharasma we get to add 2d8. Okay, now it's legit. 1, 2, 3, 6 dice, adding plus 6 to this roll. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 24 plus 6 is 30. Okay, sweet. Well, we were able to defeat, what a great scenario. Really, really tricky stuff there. But the henchman has been defeated. The glass pavilion location has been closed, because that's just how I'm rolling from now on. It's like you defeat the henchman, you've closed the location. We're forgetting these when close effects. I think it's just going to speed up the play and make it a little more enjoyable. Alright, so that scenario has been completed, and now we're going to go ahead and do a deck check. And this is going to be pretty exciting, because Drelm, well, that's the location deck, what was left in there. So deck check for Drelm. Sorry about the glare there. Let me see if I can move this around. Moving the light around. Wow, look at that. Oh well, sorry for the technical difficulties there. So we'll go ahead and just try to move that there. So we got that spell. Curse of Fever Dreams is gone. Curse of the Sphinx is gone. Let's go ahead and see Drelm's deck. Mystic Silk Cloak saved the day. Let me try this. Sorry for, there we go. I think that fixed the glare a little bit. Yes, it did. Okay. Doing the deck check. A lot of cool stuff. Man, Dune of Doom. I really didn't think he was going to get that spell, but he did. Pretty amazing. So, let's go ahead. We'll do the deck check. We're going to go ahead and see what the rewards for the scenario are. Okay, so the reward for this scenario, there's the deck check for Drelm. The reward for scenario 5.1 is a skill feat. So, looking at Drelm's skills, let's go ahead and zoom in there. Okay, so pretty much the track we're putting on Drelm, he's already maxed out in wisdom, and now we're going to go ahead and just max him out on strength. So we'll give him another buff there. So now he has a plus 5 melee buff, which is pretty amazing. And now let's go ahead, zoom out. Let's visit a trader. I mean, we got some cool stuff here. I think what Drelm wants to do for level 5. Yeah, we'll check out the weapons. So we'll go to Smiths of Wati. We'll see what the Smiths of Wati are offering. They're offering level weapons of level 4 or 5, so we can get the Ice Blade Spell Dagger. So if it's not level 4 or 5, we can't get it, or it's not being offered. So Whip of 1,000 Stings, or the Axe of the Imperative. Okay, well, those sound pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and zoom in on those. So Axe of the Imperative. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength or melee plus 1d6 plus 2. You may additionally discard this card to add another 1d8. If refreshing with weapons and the Bane has a power that happens before or after you act, add another 1d8. Alright, well that's pretty nifty. So we don't have to discard it, but there's a chance we can get another d8 if it has that stipulation. 1,000 Stings Whip. We could ignore any powers on a non-villain, non-henchman monster. Well, I kind of don't like that already. And we got Ice Blade Spell Dagger. No, it's only for dexterity or ranged. Okay, so for the Smiths of the Wati, we say, okay, we're kind of interested in that, but then that means we have to give him an item. Let's go ahead and let's do it this way. So we need items of 4 or level 4 or 5 in order to trade to the Smiths of the Wati in the first place. And as it is, I don't think Drelm has any level 4 or 5. The only level 4 or 5 item he has, believe it or not, well, check this out. The only level 4 or 5 item that Drelm has is the Doom of Doom spell. And he's going to keep that because that pretty much rocks. Okay, so Drelm doesn't have enough interesting boons that are of the right level to trade. So he's going to have to put off going to a trader in the future until he finds loot or boons of level 4 or 5. Oh, you know what? Check this out really quick. So actually this one, it says here, if defeated, draw the loot armband of the golden serpent from the box. So we did actually gain this loot. It's a level 4, so we could trade this and the Dune of Dune for the Axe of the Imperative, but I think Dune of Doom is actually better. And as for, unfortunately, we're going to have to lose this loot. We're not going to keep it in our deck. It says when you play a spell on your combat check, recharge this card to add your strength or melee skill. Well, wow, that is, you know what? I actually might keep that because when we use Dune of Doom now, we can actually add our melee skill. Wow. So I think I'm going to end up keeping this. If I do, I got to lose a card. And I think maybe we're going to say goodbye to the effigy of Matt. Maybe it's time to say goodbye and say hello to Golden Serpent Armband. Well, what do you think? Then, of course, next on the chopping block is going to be Bird Feather tokens. But I think that's what we're going to do. Drelm is going to start a new chapter saying goodbye to Effigy of Matt to make room for the Golden Serpent Armband. And that's the new loot that we acquired. Dune of Dune, or the boons. Dune of Dune. One more time. Dune of Doom, Golden Serpent Armband. Hello. Checking out the deck. That's the deck check. That's the end of this scenario. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. That was the start of level 5. We'll see where Drelm goes next. And I will have another adventure up shortly.